buyers and sellers brought together to complete a transaction. That's the definition of a basic market, whether it be the real estate market or the car market or the used textbook market out in the parking lot. You go sell your textbook. That's a market. By the way, your test is a couple of weeks, I believe from today, the 29th. 27th? No, it's the 29th. I think it's the week of the 27th, but I believe it is Wednesday the 29th. Yes.
What's the test going to be like? It's going to be like
Multiple
math?
choice.
Multiple
Choice, a few true, false. That's
Okay.
no matching.
More like memorizing terms kind of thing?
Some,
Okay.
but then also applying some of these concepts that are in this chapter. What is the law of demand and understanding what it means. I think you'll find it's the 29th.
Yeah.
Wednesday the 29th. So we've got a holiday next week. Wednesday of next week we'll have class, and then we'll have that following Monday the 27th to finish up any loose ends and take our test on Wednesday the 29th. Okay. I'll go more into that as we get closer. I'll give you a review sheet. It'll be online on Angel. You can print it off and use that. So I'll have that. I won't have that up yet. Okay. But it'll be over chapters 1 and 4. Which is the 2 series of slides that I have up there. I think we had done this slide, correct?
Yeah.
And did the 3 words that go in the blanks for what's a perfectly competitive market. So just want to make sure that I'm not skipping a slide because I'm in different spots with different classes. We've stopped at a different point. So this is a perfectly competitive market, and there are many buyers and many sellers. No one can influence the price. The elements of supply and demand are comprised of these things. We're going to look at a demand curve first. We're going to look at then the supply curve. We'll look at them 2 individually, and then put them together to come up with something called equilibrium. We're going to also look at the shifting of curves as they shift together, or one shifting while the other is stagnant or stationary. And what that does to prices, what that does to the market equilibrium price. So that's kind of the next, this kind of a summary of what we're going to be doing for the rest of the series here, the rest of the slides. So we're going to start with demand first. Demand is an inverse relationship. Inverse. There's some other words you could use. You could say negative relationship or indirect relationship. It doesn't matter which one. But it is an inverse relationship showing various amounts of a good that buyers would be willing and able to purchase at various price levels. Or various prices. So the 2 words, first word is inverse. And then 2 words there with the and is willing and able. You have to have both of them, willingness and the ability. You may have the willingness to buy something but not the ability. You don't have the money. Or you might have the money, the ability, but not the willingness. So in order to show this relationship, and this is a model, I wanted to say that this is a model, much like a lot of models in economics, they're based on assumptions. Most people are going to behave in this way. It depends on the product or service. With gasoline as an example of a product. Gas is a little different because it's a necessity. When you think of necessities, it may not correlate to the law of demand as easily because you will buy your gas. If prices are high, you still buy it because you need it. However, the law of demand essentially is this: as the price rises, demand falls. Most of the products, most people behave that way. So you got to be willing and able to purchase at various prices. So what I'm going to do is put up a table, or what's called a schedule, demand schedule of data. which is gonna show this relationship between the price and the quantity demand. So the quantity demanded and the price, I'll put two columns here, and I'm gonna make up this information, this data. I need to probably quantify it here. Price is per, well, first of all, the example is this. I know your book used pizzas. That's fine. I sometimes don't use what the book has, but I think they were using pizzas as their example. I'm gonna use one I had for many years, and I almost need to update it. I probably do, because it's now becoming archaic, and the idea, what it is renting videos from a store. Now, there aren't too many stores left. I can't even think of one. Somebody said the one in Sarasota, the Blockbuster in Sarasota closed. What you have now is vending machines where you can rent videos. The Redbox, the Blockbuster Express, I think that's there. Or did they buy that? Netflix is another alternative. There's ways now to get videos other than have to get in your car, drive to the store, and pick them all out from a big, bricks and mortar place. But this is what my example was based on many years ago. Is the relationship of buying videos, renting videos, and now I'm going to give a list of prices, and then I'm going to list the quantity demanded at those various prices. And this is an average. This is a market average. If I surveyed every one of you secretively, or on what is a Survey Monkey or something online, and asked you at 50 cents per video, how many would you rent per week? At $1 per video, how many would you rent per week? At $2, and so on. And your answers would be different. All of you would have different answers. Some of you could care less and wouldn't rent any. Some of you don't have a DVD player, wouldn't have the ability to do it. Heaven forbid if you have a VHS player. The tape, I don't even know if they make those anymore or have them available. But I heard today, or the other day, I was reading an article. In 2014, items not to buy. And DVD players were one of them. One was listed. I think DVD and Blu-ray. So what are they going to? Streaming, right? I guess. I'm not saying they're not going to be sold and you won't need to buy one, but they say items not to buy for 2014 are not a good purchase decision. It listed laptops and computers, desktop computers, because tablets are taking over. They're just as powerful and do just as many things, more portable. What else did they list? Oh, cameras. I think they listed cameras. Like digital cameras is another item. So it's kind of interesting to see what products are anticipated as the demand will fall. They're anticipating certain things not to sell as well during 2014 because they're being replaced, and DVD players were one of them. All right, so here I'm going to list those prices I was just mentioning. 50 cents, $1, $2, $3, $4. Now I'm just going to list 5. And again, if I surveyed you, I would list these 5 and you could just give me your answer. But instead of doing that, I'm just going to make up the average of the class. Just kind of make believe that this is what the class would do as an average, a market average, or Manatee County average, whatever you want to call it. At 50 cents per video, fairly inexpensive, I'm more willing and I have more ability to buy at 50 cents. So I'm willing to demand, my quantity that week will be, oh, by the way, I've got it listed. This is per video, the price, and this is per week. I could list another time frame, but we're just going to go by the week. Could do it by month or by year. But every week, if the price was 50 cents, I would rent 9 of them. Again, I'm just making this stuff up. This is my data. At $1, a little more expensive, but not too bad. I'm still going to rent 8. At $2, going to rent 6. At 3, it's getting more expensive, can't afford it as much, I'm going to rent 4. At $4, I'll rent 2. So as you can see, this relationship is inverse. And so it leads to something called the law of demand. The law of demand is the claim that all things equal, now this is where that ceteris paribus assumption comes in. With this example, I could say all things equal or constant, meaning that everybody owns a DVD player and likes to rent movies. Assuming that, then I can provide the data. But if you don't have a DVD player, then it doesn't make any sense to you anyways. All things equal, we all like to watch videos, and we have a DVD player. So when that happens, the quantity demanded, this is the word that goes in the blank, the quantity demanded of a good falls when the price rises. So as the price is rising here from 50 cents to 4, the quantity demanded is falling. That is an inverse relationship. That is the law, the basic law of demand. What we're going to do is put this data on a graph. So I'll go to the other side here. The graph is comprised of the quadrant, the upper right quadrant, and we're going to use the horizontal axis. Quantity will always be on the horizontal axis. In this case, it's quantity demanded. And price is on the vertical axis. And you scale it off here by, let's see, by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And price will be scaled off by $1 price increments. You do have a 50-cent one in there. All right, so there's my basic looking graph. And I'm going to plot those points. Hopefully you can do that. You've had enough math in your background to be able to do that. At 50 cents, I rent 9. So here's my point, my coordinate. 50 cents at 9, and we rent 9. At $1, we'll rent 8. There's my coordinate. At $2, 6. $3, 4. $4, 2. So there's my dots. There's my coordinates of the data that we have. I could have listed more than 5 points. I could have listed 10, 15, I could have listed 50 if I wanted to. I think you get the idea. I don't need to plot that many points. Connect the dots. And there's my demand curve. For this data, for the video example. Now I usually just use a letter D. Capital D is sufficient some textbooks denote the difference between a capital D and a small case D. Just tell you what it is. If you see a small case D, it's typically referring to one individual's demand curve or one company's demand curve. If you see a capital D, it typically means the entire class or the entire market, the whole market in general. So I'm using a capital D for our purposes today. So that's the law of demand, and that is the picture, the graphing picture of our data. Sometimes the curves are a little steeper, sometimes flatter, it depends on the information you're given. As you notice, what type of line is this? It's a negatively sloped line. And some of you might remember what slope is. It's rise over run, and it is downward sloping and to the right. That's a negative slope. There are three reasons why it has a negative slope. Three reasons. The first one is called the income effect. The income effect. I haven't said this, but I'm going to give the assumption that you make $500 a week. And with that price, with whatever the prices are of the videos at $500 a week, if the price falls, let's say it was at $4 and it fell to $2, you can afford to buy more of them. So if you go from $4 to $2, you can afford to buy more with your $500 weekly income. You feel like, hey, I can get a few more. Okay. So there has a negative relationship with your income. Doesn't mean your income goes up or anything. It just means that you can afford to buy a few more. The second effect is the substitution effect, and it has the same negatively inverse relationship as the income. They all do. Substitution means what it says. As you look at two goods that substitute for one another, you can buy more of the one that's lower priced than you can with the higher priced item. So my example is this. Let's say you're deciding between steak and ground beef for red meat. If the price of steak falls, like for a New York strip, a pretty good cut of steak, it falls. You're going, and you like them both, you're going to buy more of this New York strip and less of the ground beef. You'll substitute away from it because it's on sale. The price fell. So you do substitute away from certain things. And again, you may not buy a lot of steak and eat a lot of red meat. I assume that you are. But maybe it's Coke and Pepsi. The price of Pepsi falls at the store. If you're not a real loyal fan, you'll probably buy the one that's lower priced, got on sale. Somebody in my class yesterday, you know we changed to Coca-Cola here at the college. We're no longer Pepsi contracted, I guess. Every vending machine now is Coca-Cola. The cafeteria's got the Coca-Cola products and stuff. So we're all Coca-Cola now. One girl in my class went, oh, God. She goes, I know, I can't stand it. They put Coke in. So she must be a Pepsi loyalist. I look at price. I know there's a difference in taste. I get that. But it's a cola to me. All right, so you substitute away from it, typically to the lower price item, because you still feel it's a better bargain than the higher priced one. The third effect is the utility effect. Utility. Now you may look at that and go, well, what does utility mean? Utility means satisfaction. That's what it means. In economics, utility means satisfaction. How much satisfaction is a product providing you? So how much utility is something giving you? At high prices, here, the utility or the satisfaction is such that you're willing to pay a high price for a small amount of something. You're willing to do that. Okay, I'll pay $4 for a couple of them. But the more you have to pay $4 every single week, you're going to get something called diminishing returns, diminishing utility. It's going to start to dwindle, your satisfaction, that is, your utility. So you're going to say, man, I can't keep affording this at $4. It's not worth it. So you're going to buy less of that at that high price. This is called the diminishing marginal utility law. As you get at a typically higher price, you will dwindle in your satisfaction or utility. I'll give you a couple of examples. If you go to a concert, well, that's not a concert, let's don't do that one. Let's do going out to eat. Go out to Fleming's, and I have never been to Fleming's, but let's say you take a date and you spend well over $100. Is it well over 100?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I've never gone. But you take somebody and you spend well over $100, $200, whatever. Are you going to be willing? And it was nice. Everything was great. Food was nice. Everything was great. But are you going to do it the next night?
No.
You do it the following night. Following night.
Special occasions.
Because your utility, it's not giving you as much satisfaction each successive night. You're going to start to dwindle. How about a sporting event? I've been to the Daytona 500. How many have been? Okay. So it's neat to see it live. And I paid $200, I think, for the ticket. It was a 2-race package thing. And you're probably thinking $200 for a NASCAR race. But the Daytona 500, over Daytona, I thought, okay, I'm going to go see that one. And I'm not a NASCAR fan, redneck fan, but I do kind of, I'll watch it a little bit. Watch the end, that's what you need to watch, right? But was I willing to do it again? I was willing to pay a high price for watching it for the first time. But the next year, no, I wasn't going to spend $200 again, do that again. I've been there, done that, okay? Kind of like your bucket list items, things you want to do before you pass away. I'll give you one more example, is how this law works, utility, is vending machines. They actually use vending machines and they apply the law of diminishing utility to them as far as, there's an economic concept behind it. You're probably thinking, how in the world does that happen? The newspaper vending machines, the ones you get a newspaper out of, you put your coins in. They do still print newspapers, okay? Not many, but they do print them occasionally, on Sundays maybe. You put your coins in and you pull a lever down and there's all the newspapers. How many do you take? Honestly and ethically, you would take one. What is the second newspaper worth to you? How much satisfaction does the second newspaper give you? How much utility does it give you, the second one now? It gives you nothing. You're going to read the first one and take the coupons. That's probably what you can get more for, get all the coupons. Get the first one, and that provides you all the satisfaction and utility you need. After that one, there's no satisfaction, no utility left, unless you're unethical and you take 10 of them and you sell the other 9. But I'm thinking of ethics and how you have to be honest about it. Just open the door and take one. Whereas the vending machines down the hall, they don't allow you to do that. They don't allow you to put your dollars and coins in, and you open the door and you get to pick and choose whatever you would like. Because they know you're not going to be honest and ethical. You're going to take more than one. The reason is because the second item, whatever it might be, your first item is the one you want. Your drink or your chips or whatever. That's the most satisfying, most utility. The second item and the third, you could take another candy bar, take another drink. As you open the door, okay, I'll take this, I'll save this for later. it has some utility. There's some satisfaction for that. You could just save it for later. The newspaper doesn't have that at all. So that's the law of diminishing marginal utility. Now, we're going to go to a section here, letter D, where I'm going to warn you on questions on the test. I don't know what you need to do as far as your note taking. If you want to highlight it, you want to circle it, you want to make a note, pay attention on this. But letter D, changes involving demand, are where a lot of questions are missed on my first test. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm going to get you on these. Not doing that. I just know from past history and experience that this is where students will question or argue, if you want to do that. Well, that's tricky, Mr. Floyd. It's not tricky. It's just a difference in terminology, and you have to get it down. You have to get it. Or you might read it real fast, and you get it confused. Or you get them mixed up. There's two changes involving demand, too. And it's all about terminology. I have to be careful when I'm speaking it, because I don't want to say it too fast. But I have to make sure I say it the right way. But the first change is listed here, change in quantity demanded. Okay, the change in quantity demanded. It's in response to a, what do you think? What's the word in there?
Price?
Price. Price of the product, like the video. So change in quantity demanded is in response to a price change. Graphically, we show it on the graph. It's the movement along the curve. So if we go back over to the graph, where we had the video example, at 50 cents we were at this point. If the price rose to $1, the quantity demanded fell, so we would have a movement along the curve to the new point. I'm just showing an arrow moving, but it's all it is along the curve. If the price goes to $2, the quantity demanded falls further to the next point. As a response to price, it's a movement along the curve. That's all. That's all that's happening. It can also move down, by the way. If price falls, it'll go down the curve, up or down the curve, but it stays on the curve. And that is in response to a price change of the product. That's it. It's the only thing that's going to cause a change in quantity demanded. So that's the first one. And again, it's terminology. So when you read the question, you got to be careful that I'm saying quantity demanded and not demand, which is number 2. You're going to look at me and go, that's the same thing, isn't it? Number 2 is a change in demand. Number 1 was a change in quantity demanded. Number 2 is a change in demand. Isn't that the same you're asking? No, it's not. It's not. So, and this is where students will miss the question, and they'll complain, and that's too tricky. I'm not trying to purposely trick you. I'm just saying that this is the way it is. I word my questions. I make my questions. So I word them. I try to be as clear as I can. And every once in a while, I have to edit, maybe take a response out. When I do multiple choice questions, sometimes there are 4 responses. Sometimes there are 3. Sometimes there's even just 2. I mean, so it's almost like it's just A and B, like multiple choice. I mean, true, false. So I don't follow the norm, I guess, with multiple choice. I also will not do all of the above or none of the above. I don't do those. I think you'll like that. I didn't like it as a student, and so I vow never to do it myself. to use the word determinants. I like to use the word factors, but it doesn't really matter. And what are those factors and determinants? They're different than price. They're other things. We're going to get to those here in a second. Once we get to them, you'll see how it works on the graph. But with a graph, instead of it moving along the curve, the word that goes in here is it's a shift of the entire curve on a graph. It's a shift of the entire curve on the graph. So I'll just illustrate it here roughly. Curve will shift to the right. That would be an increase in demand. Curve that shifts to the left would be a decrease in demand. To the right, increase in demand. To the left, decrease in demand. Listen that I'm not saying quantity demand. I'm saying demand. Now, what are those factors? What are the other things that are going to cause this shift? Here they are. I'll just uncover them all. It's A, B, C, D, with a couple of blanks in there. And we'll look at a variety of examples as we go through them. The first one is income. Income is something I said earlier that you were making $500 a week. What if you get an increase in your income? What if you get a raise to $700 a week? So now, with an extra couple $100 a week, you're going to feel a little better about yourself. You're going to feel like you're rolling in it a little bit. Feel better. Okay, hey, I got a little more. I'd say $800 more a month. I can rent a few more videos, can't I? Because I can afford it. So this whole schedule table going to change. Instead of it being this, because I make $700 a week, it'll just change. I'll just increase everything by 2. So now I can afford to buy more, rent more per week. May not have the time, but I'll rent them. That's the problem with videos. I rent them and I fall asleep. I don't have time to watch them that night, especially Redbox. You got one day where they charge you again. But the price is good. What is it, $1.20 plus tax? What's that? Redbox? Okay, well I think it's $1.20 now. DVD, Blu-rays are a little more, maybe $1.50 plus tax. I'll give you my personal pet peeve about those machines, Redbox. Correct me if I'm wrong and agree with me. When you do your swiping of the credit card, isn't that the dumbest design?
Yes.
You cannot get the card in there. And it's got 2 bars, a top and a bottom below it. And you have to go, and then when you hit the bottom bar, and it doesn't work half the time.
Yeah.
I'm going, who designed that? I cannot be the only person in America with that problem. But there's 2 bars, 2 solid steel bars that keep, and it's about that far apart, and you have to go like that, and you hear the little beep, and it works. It takes me 2 or 3 times to get it in there, just right. Somebody's got to redesign that. I don't know. I'm sure it. I don't know what. I'm sure it's a security thing. I think. I don't know. But it's just a dumb design. Okay. But if you make more money, you're going to buy more videos, rent more, and so the curve. If I were to replot this that we just put up here, it would be shifted to the right. That's all it would. It'd be shifted out to the right, just like I kind of have drawn already. Now, if you lost your job or you got a demotion and you now only make $300 a week, you see the opposite will happen. See, I'm not going to make as much money, so I can't rent very many videos that week. And so the curve would shift back to the left. for the entire demand for videos. Again, I'm thinking of a market average. So that's income. By the way, there's another segment to this I want to roll off to here. Income is related to two different types of goods. The ones I've been talking about, we call normal goods. Normal. Where when you make more money, you spend more. Okay? Most goods are like that. The more you make, the more you spend. However, there are some goods, the more you make, the less you spend on them. We call those inferior. We call those inferior goods. Inferior goods are items like ramen noodles, beans, rice. As you make more money, if you're a poor college student right now, you're probably buying a lot of ramen noodles, okay? I don't even know what they are, 15 cents a piece, 20 cents, I don't even know, whatever the packages are. But when you graduate and you get a job, you may not buy as many ramen noodles. So your income goes up, but the demand for those kinds of, I would say like low, they're not low quality, low priced items. You buy in large quantities, tends to fall. Most of the time though, goods are normal goods, where the more you make income, the more you spend on it, on those things. The more you spend on clothes, the more you spend on appliances and technology, items like that. Another example I gave, when I was at UF, I rode the bus, the Alachua County bus. Back then, if they charged, I believe it was $0.25 to ride it in from the compartment to the campus. I wasn't too proud to ride the bus. I did it. I didn't have any wheels. I didn't have a car. Right? It was too far for a bike. So I rode the bus. But once I graduated and I got a job, I bought a car. So here's what happened. The demand for me, as my income was low, the demand for city bus transportation went up, or was high. But as I got a job and my income rose, the demand for city bus transportation went the other way. I didn't need city bus anymore, and I could buy my own car. So that's what the inferior goods are about. It doesn't have to be cheap ramen noodles. It can be something else, but generally you will buy less of those kind of things as your income rises. You tend to opt away from the lower price things. All right, letter B. Letter B. Let's look at letter B. With the price of, the word that goes in here is related goods. Price of related goods. There are two types of related goods. So, price of related goods, this kind of goes down to types. There are two types here in the bullet points. The first one is substitutes. Substitutes here, which compete, and complements, which, there's two words, go together. Complements go together, substitutes compete. And those are the types of related goods, but we got to look at the price of them. So I always use these examples. There's many examples you could use, but Pepsi and Coke is kind of a classic example to use. And if we used different demand curves here, demand for Pepsi Coke. I'm assuming you like them both. Okay. Demand curves are pretty much the same. And if the price for both, let's say, let's just list a price here of $1.29. If the price is $1.29, I buy 2 per week quantity. But what happens if the demand or the price, this is what we're talking about, price of one of them goes up or down? It's going to affect the demand for the other, okay? Because they are substitutes. They compete with one another. And again, you like them both. So here's a statement I'm going to give you. I don't have it in the notes, but I always write it up here. There's a different eraser here. These erasers are bad. You can add this statement here under the section price of related good. Okay, I left it the blanks there because we're going to put in the words increase and decrease, but this is a general statement that applies to both substitutes and complements. Okay, it applies to both of them. We haven't done complements yet, but we're talking substitutes now. A blank in the price of one leads to a blank in the demand for the other. So with substitutes, in the Coke and Pepsi example, if the price of Pepsi, let's say Publix puts it on sale for the week, and it goes to 99 cents. So the price of Pepsi decreases. A decrease in the price of one leads to a blank in the demand for the other.
Increase.
It's going to lead to a increase or decrease.
Increase.
And this stays at $1.29.
Decrease.
It's going to be a decrease. Okay? So I'll go ahead and fill it in the blank here. Decrease. Well, let me go back to this top portion. This is a movement along the curve down to this new level. So maybe at 99 cents for Pepsi, because the price went down, we're going to have an increase in quantity demanded of 4. So it moves along the curve in the top graph. But on the bottom graph, it's not a movement, it's a shift. So the entire curve will decrease or shift for Coke. So there'll be a new picture, a new line, decreases. So a decrease in the price of one, going from $1.29 to $1.99, leads to a decrease in the demand for the other. No one's going to buy the Coke. And that's typically what happens. If you look at the drink aisle at Publix, one product's on sale one week, it's kind of empty. Because everybody's bought those items. But the other end, where Coca-Cola is, the price is the same, or what it was, it's full. The next week they might reverse it. Put the Coke products on sale, and the Pepsi products are back up to inventory, and Coke gets bought more so. People buy with price. I know that you have loyal fans and you want to buy one or the other, but I look at price, and then some of you might just buy the Publix brand. I don't know. I don't think it tastes as good, but, all right.
Yeah.
But it's a whole lot cheaper, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Coke.
Okay. So that's substitutes, that's the first one. Let's look at complements. Complements go together, and I'm not gonna use Pepsi and Coke because they don't go together, they compete. The one I've used in the past, it has been cereal and milk. Cereal and milk, they certainly go together. I know they're independent too, they can drink them and eat, I guess you can eat dry cereal if you want. But generally, when you have cereal, you put milk on it. Okay. So they are complementary of one another. The relationship, though, is a little bit different. So I'll erase the blank there. If the price, well, let's just say this is the demand for milk and the demand for cereal. And let's say the box of cereal is $4, that's probably generous. And you'll buy 2 boxes a week. And the price of milk, I don't know what that is anymore. I mean, the price of milk is nuts. I mean, there's talk that it'll go to $7, $7, $8. I've heard that.
$1.69 for half a gallon of Publix.
How much is it?
$1.69.
Dollars. That's a sale price, though, isn't
I just spent $3 the other day on the whole gallon of
it?
milk.
How much?
$3.
3? Yeah, it's over 3
It's
for a gallon. I'm just gonna put $3.50, it doesn't really matter, but $3.50 for a gallon of milk. And maybe that, you'll buy 2 per week at that price. You drink a lot of milk, you have a lot of cereal. But what happens if one of them goes up or down? If the price of cereal, and they do this a lot, they put it on sale. Cereals have high markups, by the way. They really do. That's why you see a lot of coupons. They have a big profit margin in cereal, price of cereal. So even if they give you a discount, they're still making money on it, pretty good amount. So dollars, half price. Maybe the BOGO, buy one get one. Maybe at $2 you buy 3 boxes that week. So this is a movement along the curve. Let me go ahead and fill this in. Decrease in the price of one cereal. And I don't care if it's just cereal, I don't care what brand. Leads to a blank in the demand for the other. You know they go together. So you're going to need more milk. Because you bought more boxes of cereal because the price is lower. So when the price of one falls, it's going to lead to an increase in the demand for the other. And this is going to cause, now this was a movement along the curve, this is going to cause the demand for milk to shift to the right. So anytime you have related goods, whether it's a substitute or a complement, you have one of the items moving along the curve because of the price, and then you have the other item shifting left or right depending on whether the price went up or down. We could go the opposite of these two, by the way. An increase in the price of one leads to a decrease in the demand for the other. I didn't do that with substitutes, but you can kind of do the vice versa example of it. And again, those are complements. They are factors that cause at least one of the curves to shift to the right or to the left, shifting of the curves. All right, let's see. One more item. Well, we'll just finish C and D. Not more than C. C is expectations. Expectations of consumers. consumers are smarter than they were 50 years ago. I think, well, the obvious reason for that is we're more educated. You probably can ask your grandparents, how much schooling did they have? Did they finish high school even? Maybe your parents finished college, but as years have gone, more people are finishing college than ever before. More people are earning bachelor's degrees. So with that, you would think that we are a smarter society. Because going to college, you think you pick up something there. You like to think that. I'm kind of sarcastic at times when I talk, because I know that there are people who've got college degrees. I wonder how in the world did you get a college degree? But anyhow, I'll get off that part. And in our high school levels, you know, there's issues with how much English and how much math people know. I mean, I see people write sentences today, and they're in college, and they're horrible. I got an online class, so they have to do a little bit of writing for my discussion board. Their grammar, it's terrible. And I'm not an English person, but I can speak. I know what, if you got to capitalize something, and I tell them not to use texting, grammar, you know, when I don't want that. I don't want, you know, the abbreviations and stuff like that. You're not texting, you're writing a full sentence, or at least something. You don't have to write a lot, but just make sure you're in college. You should be able to structure a sentence. I don't see a lot of good sometimes when I read that. All right, but expectations are this. Because we're more educated, and because we have the internet and we can look up a lot of things, we expect certain things to happen. If we expect either the price of an item to rise or fall, it's going to make our demand do something. If we expect the price of TVs, here we go, it's January, and they always put sales on TVs. You know why? One of the reasons is for the Super Bowl. You watch, the next couple of weeks, they'll put some massive sales on, and they're also trying to close the books on the fiscal year. Many retailers' fiscal year runs from February 1 to January 31. It's not a calendar year. So they get that January sales on the books. So they put them on sale, and you know, they want to just entice you to get a brand new 75-inch TV for the Super Bowl. You spend $4,000 on the dang thing, and you watch the one game and you go, why did I do that? Just bought me a big TV, as big as this board, you know. Sam's has one as you walk in, I think it's 70, isn't it? It's big. I want to say it's $7,000. I like it, but I'm not spending that for it. But you're going to see that, and so your expectations are, if you're looking for a TV right now, you might say, yeah, I think I'll wait for the weekend sales right before the Super Bowl. Maybe this weekend will be a good one, the next, they're going to put them on sale. Certain ones. They always do it before Christmas, and they do it Black Friday. Your expectations, you had an expectations to shop on Black Friday. Heck, I think Black Friday is no longer Black Friday. It's the day before, it's the week after. It just seems like there is no more Black Friday. It's all day long. I mean, everything opens beforehand. You got the online thing makes it blurred. It blurs it all, the online selling. But you have expectations as consumers on things. You're going to wait. And so when you wait, the demand currently might drop a little bit. But then once the price drops, you say, okay, I'm going to buy. There's going to be more of a buy. The other expectation has to do with income. If you expect to get a brand new job and make $100,000 a year, you're going to spend more money. The demand for all goods is going to go up. So you have expectations about income. If you know you're going to lose your job, you're going to have to cut back. have to start curtailing your spending. And I always give this example. The NFL draft comes up. If you don't know what the NFL is, National Football League. NFL draft comes up, I think it's April. And the number one pick, I don't know who it's going to be this year. Who has the number one pick? Anybody remember? Who was the worst team in the league?
The Bucks.
No, the Bucks. The Bucks have, I think, like the 11th pick or 10th or something. Who's going to get the first pick?
The Texans.
Texas, is it Houston? Do they get the first pick? There's talk that they're going to pick the quarterback out of Louisville, Bridgewater. But whether he's the first pick, or the second, or the third, or whatever, Manziel, he's another quarterback from Texas A&M, Johnny Manziel. He's expected to go fairly high. They expected to go high, and so he is expecting to be a what? A rich man. He's supposed to be a poor college student right now. Supposed to be. Allegedly, he has no money.
Yeah.
No one. None of them. They're all amateur athletes, right? I say that with some sarcasm, but they're not going to get their big payday until the NFL draft, and they get drafted, and the team pays them a bonus or whatever. So up until this time, they're poor, right? They're only getting paid their tuition and books and their dorm and all that. Well, the expectation is if Johnny Manziel wanted to go into a Mercedes dealership in College Station, which is where Texas A&M is, and he wanted to buy the $100,000 Mercedes, I'll bet you they would sell it to him right now, because they know who he is. They know he's going to be a rich man. They know he's good for it. He's going to pay it off. He's going to give millions of dollars. I'd sell it to him. Unless he does something stupid between now and April, and it's likely with him. I mean, he's got a reputation. Like break his knee or do something, go skydiving, and he does something, injures himself. He's got some personality flaws that I think some NFL teams will kind of shy away from. But they do. I'll tell you what, if they're going to give you that kind of money, they're looking into everything you do. They're scrutinizing all your background and whatever. So he did a little better this year, but his off season last year, he was all over the place. And so his expectations are, the dealership's expectations, his expectations, that I'm going to be rich. I'm going to buy me what I want right now. I'm going to get me a new Mercedes. And I would do it. I would say yeah. So the demand increases. All right, so expectations are a big part of society anymore. Letter D, the last one, it's just a hodgepodge of all different other factors that could exist. Your taste, preferences, age or religion, occupation, race, education, all those are just different things. It's going to cause the curves to shift to the right, like that over there, or shift to the left. Now, they're not going to be dramatic shifts. They're going to be long, over periods of time. For instance, your taste. You probably have, in terms of food taste, you're pretty set on what you have. How many like broccoli? Okay. I didn't like it as a kid. Couldn't stand it. But I like it now. So it changed. There's one item I don't like, and I still don't like it, as a kid nor now, is sauerkraut. I don't know why.
Beets, why?
I don't like it, but I like cabbage.
Right.
But there, you change, your taste change over time. I hated spinach when I was a kid. I was forced to eat it. But now I'll eat it. I'll just eat it because I like it. That's one item. But they'll change over time, slowly. All right, I'll let you go. But we're going to start back up on Wednesday of next week.